Coaching for growth. As we delve into designing our practice and committing ourselves to the practice to work with our challenges better, one of the things that helps greatly is having a support in your life, because changing a habit can be difficult. A coach is someone who can support you. A coach can be anyone, a friend, a teacher, a parent, or a sibling, but it helps that this person is invested in your growth. A coach is there to help you get unstuck and is also there to keep you accountable for the practices that you commit to. In this lesson, I'll be sharing with you a coaching conversation format that you as a coachee or coach can use. Having good coaching conversations will not only help you, but also others to build skills to work with challenges with purpose and compassion. I want to start by reiterating what the purpose of coaching is. Coaching is used to support you and your friends get unstuck and overcome challenges. Coaching has a way of breaking down a relatively large challenge into parts and provides scaffolded questions to guide us to move forward and get unstuck. Coaching also builds internal resources within each of us to overcome challenges or get unstuck. In a coaching session, a coach asks questions but doesn't actively provide solutions to these questions. This means that when a coaching session takes place, the one who is getting coached is generating responses, and sometimes they need to exercise awareness or creativity to do so. Over time, coaching builds internal resources within the coachee to work through their challenges independently. Coaching keeps each other accountable to commit to the practices that they design and grow over time. Coaching is not a single occurrence but takes place as regular check-ins during the duration of their commitment and is a relationship that builds over time. By having someone on your side who is invested in your growth, it helps you to keep your commitment. So let's start discussing the steps of coaching. Step 1. What's going on? Coaching starts by becoming more aware of the issue that the coachee is experiencing. Oftentimes when someone is stuck, they're caught up in stories, especially in a form of judgments about what is happening. It is useful to break the issue down into events and stories and become aware of the stories they are creating in their head. It also helps to clarify what happened that is observable and what their internal experiences are, like their feelings. So for example, you might coach a friend, Susan, who is having trouble with a friend group. When asked what's going on, she might share that one of her friends in the friend group posted pictures of them going out on Instagram, and it was the same day that Susan asked one of them if they were doing anything, and they said no. If Susan is in a survival mode, she'll be stuck in her stories. Let her be there if she needs to and express any judgments she has about the situation. She may say that her friends are purposefully excluding her, or I'm not fun and cool enough to belong to the group, or I've always tried to fit in but can never be myself around them because I don't feel safe. Then find out what's really going on inside in terms of feelings. Susan may express that she feels angry for being lied to, lonely for not belonging, sad that she may not be good enough for her friends. And finally, find out what actions were taken to respond to the situation and see if she was conscious or intentional about the response. So Susan might say, I wanted to inquire, but I didn't say anything because I'm afraid that they will think I'm annoying. Or I'm pretending that everything is okay and trying harder to fit in during lunch times, but I don't feel like I'm being myself. Now, at this stage, if your coachee has drawn a loop chart, then let them bring that to you because this loop chart can really clarify what's going on. Now, during this stage, it's important to meet your friend with empathy. Now, empathy means to meet your coachee exactly where they are at. So avoid dismissing feelings like don't be sad or there's no need to cry. Accept them for their emotional state. The key is to keep reflecting to check for understanding. This is really important to do by asking probing questions or clarifying questions Sometimes you might find that there are discrepancies in your friend's story, or that they're mixing up events and stories and treating stories as reality. It does not matter whether you agree or disagree with your friend. This is a very important point that many people forget to recognize. You can offer empathy without agreeing with the person. The coaching session is ultimately about your friend's experience, not yours. Now, you can support them without taking sides. Your friend might look for you to side with them, but this will only strengthen their stories. As a coach, you can offer understanding, but you don't have to play the game of whose side are you on. Step 2. What might be making you stuck? As a follow-up to finding out what's going on, if it's appropriate, it's useful to help your friend clarify what's making them stuck. This is especially helpful because sometimes the reason why they are stuck is because they don't know what's making them stuck. So for this step, you could ask questions like, what are you afraid of? What are your fears? Or what prevents you from getting out of the pattern or habit? Or why do you think it's so difficult to move forward? These questions can yield responses like, I'm afraid of judgment, or I'm afraid of wasting my time, I'm afraid of rejection, or I'm afraid of not being good enough, or I'm afraid to fail. Now, creating this space for your friend to name their fears and to sit with the feeling of discomfort is important to assure your friend that whatever they're experiencing is normal. It's good to remind them that feelings of discomfort don't feel great, but they show up for any of us to keep us safe from a perceived threat. By being reminded that the feelings of discomfort are there to try to protect us, this can help your friend accept and embrace their emotional experiences more. Once we become more skilled in coaching through practice, we can start to see more clearly where your friend might be stuck in as you listen to their stories. There are broadly 3 areas where we often get stuck. They are head, heart, and hand. So perhaps your friend is stuck because of head. Is your friend connecting with multiple perspectives or stuck in one strand of thought? They may be creating stories and getting stuck in their own perspective as though their stories are reality, and not being aware of or being open to hearing other perspectives. Perhaps they're stuck because of heart. Is your friend lacking motivation? Maybe there are certain feelings like anxiety or fear that's making it hard for them to take the next step or step out of their comfort zone. Perhaps they're stuck because of hand. Does your friend need help developing a particular skill? Maybe they are willing to do something about this issue, but they don't have the skills to do so. So in the example I gave before, it could be that Susan is having difficulty in the heart, finding it emotionally difficult to confront the friend group because of the fear of being left out. Step 3. What are your hopes and wishes? While finding out what might be getting your friend stuck, it's useful to gauge how open they are in finding ways to move forward. In other words, whether they are in survival or growth mode. We can use what they say, the tone of their voice, and their body posture amongst other cues to gather this information. If they are already in growth mode, then you can engage in this section quite happily. I will share a little later what can be done if they are not in growth mode. So in this step, you might ask questions like, what is most important to you? Or what do you need? Or how do you want to experience this relationship or challenge or situation? Or what do you think others involved in the situation need or find important? Or what is worth going for if you could go beyond your fears? Or how do you wish to be? Now, the purpose is to find out what's important for your friend in the situation. In other words, it's to reveal the need that your friend has that is unmet and what they wish to fulfill or create moving forward. So if the responses to these questions are, I don't know, and they're clearly stuck in a survival mode, It can help to physically open someone up. You can guide your friend to sit up, take a breath, and relax their belly and shoulders, and take a few deep breaths. Now, the deep breaths can especially help to calm a person down when taken with long exhalations. I usually take exhalations that are twice as long as the inhalations to calm down. The long exhalation works because it turns off the sympathetic nervous system, which is activated in a fight, flight, or freeze response, and in turn switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us be in a restful state, like after eating a full meal or when one is going to sleep. With a shift in the physical state, one may be more ready to engage with the growth part of the brain and see more opportunities in their situation. Now, sometimes your friend might still have trouble shifting to growth mode. In this case, it might make sense to pause the coaching session and take some time for your friend to engage in activities that can help them make the shift from survival to growth. This can include taking a walk or doing yoga, and this will differ from person to person as everyone has their own way of deactivating the sympathetic system. Now, once you reconvene, you can go back to the original questions like, what are your hopes and wishes, or how do you want to experience this relationship? In your coaching session with Susan, she might respond by saying, I hope to find out if my friends went out without me. Or I hope to stop pretending and be more myself around my friends. Or I want to feel safe that I'm part of the friend group. Step 4. Why is this important to you? And why? What's important in this section is to follow up any response that your friend shared in the previous section with why is that important to you? The why questions help to peel the layers of the onion to get to the heart of the needs. By getting to the heart of the matter, we make it possible for your friend to make fundamental changes in the issue. Rather than simply bandaging the issue, we have possibilities to cure the issue. In my example, Susan might start by saying that my need is to check with my friends if they went out without me. Then if I probe, why is that important? She might say, because I want to know if my friends were lying. And then if I probe, why is that important? She might say, well, because I want to be able to trust my friends. Now, this is getting more to the heart of what's important for Susan. With deep probing, we might identify what's important for Susan, and that is trust, knowing that a friend will not lie, or a sense of belonging with her friends, and authenticity, meaning that Susan can feel safe to be herself around her friends. Now, step 5. What are your options? After identifying what is important, the next step in the coaching process is to come up with ideas for what actions your friend can take to bring about what's important to them. You can ask them questions like, what are your options? Or what could you practice next? Or how can I support you? Now, the idea is to encourage your friend to come up with many ideas in a short amount of time, like at least 10 ideas in 5 minutes. And it's not for you as a coach to provide solutions. Now, this way, your friend is building their own internal resources. You can guide your friend by ensuring that the solutions that they are coming up with are not random solutions, but pertain to the deep-seated needs that were identified in the previous step. Also, with more experience, you can focus your idea generation by looking at what areas your friend might have been stuck, as in head, heart, and hand, and suggest specific support that they could use in these specific areas. Now, notice here that identifying the heart of what's important is critical to coming up with multiple ideas. So, for example, if we didn't get to the heart of what's important for Susan and she was stuck at the layer of I need to check with my friends if they went out without me, then there is only one possibility for a way forward, which is to check with her friends. However, by getting to the layer of trust and belonging, it opens up multiple paths for fulfilling these needs. And these paths can include sitting with different friends during lunchtime to make other friends who can bring about a sense of belonging, or joining or being more invested in an activity or club that Susan enjoys to create belonging within the club, or asking others what qualities and actions make one trustworthy, and Susan modeling these behaviors to help spread the practice. Now, it's important to clarify also that at this step, while you might encourage your friend to come up with as many ways as possible to take actions, if your friend identifies that this matter is not that important in their life, then they have the option to let it drop. To not take any action is also an action. What is not as useful a step is to let their thoughts spin or get stuck in rumination. This kind of inaction wastes energy. Step 6. What's the next smallest action you will take? After generating many ideas for how your friend might move forward, the next step is to help your friend commit to an action to move forward. This is a step that often makes your friend feel uncomfortable because they actually have to do something. To make it easier for your friend to be able to take action, help your friend break down any large actions into small steps and ask, what's the next smallest action you can take? You might also ask questions like, what will you practice? Or when can you take this action? Or what will you feel when the time comes for action? And how will you overcome that perceived challenge? Now, this is to get to the idea that certain emotions of discomfort will most likely show up when it comes to taking actions, and how they might garner the courage to take the action anyway. Would you like support or follow-up to see how things are going? Now, what's important is that the action that they come up with is specific and observable. So rather than allowing for vague action terms, it's important to encourage specific actions. So for example, rather than settling for an action to be more responsible, the specific action would be to create a Google Calendar for homework and finish it 2 days before due date for feedback. Or rather than saying to get to know more people, the specific action would be to sit and talk with at least one new person each week during lunch. Notice that the specific actions identify when, specific date and time, what actions that are observable, and who will be involved, and when appropriate, where. Believe me, your friend will get uncomfortable when you press for such detailed commitment, but getting to the specificity is critical to your friend actually being able to make the next step. Otherwise, no action will most likely be taken. Also, rather than using avoidance actions, it's important to encourage growth actions. The latter is more active than the former. So rather than going for the action to reduce the number of conflicts I have with your friend, the growth action would be to listen actively and to inquire the needs of my friend when disagreements arise. Or rather than saying to not be late for classes, the growth action would be to set the calendar reminder for every class and to arrive 5 minutes early. Again, going back to my example, rather than Susan saying, I will try to find other friend groups, get her to commit to, I will join the art club and will go to it every week. And while I go to the club, I will sit with a different person every week and talk to them. Step 7. How did it go? The coaching session doesn't finish after one session, but is more of a relationship you build over time. To support your friend take action, it helps that you check in and show them that you are invested in their growth. So when you see your friend the next time, you might follow up by saying, so how did it go? Or did what you practiced turn into the change you're looking for? Or would you like to check in again? From the check-in, you might find that your friend is still stuck or their actions may present a new set of issues, in which case you can offer them to go through the coaching process again. Perhaps it's important for your friend to try out a different action to move forward. Remember to remind your friend that whatever result they get is simply information, rather than treating the result as failure or success. It's important to use the information to adjust their paths for moving forward. What this step creates is accountability. And when a person has an accountability partner, they're more likely to follow through on their actions as compared to if they were expected to take actions on their own. So in summary, coaching is a very useful process to support a friend make important changes in their lives. Making meaningful changes takes effort and can be challenging for anyone, so it helps to have someone who is invested in your growth to guide you through the process and keep you accountable. This coaching method can be applied while you're designing your practice to help you work with your challenge with more compassion and resilience. Coaching can also be applied in your daily life when you simply feel stuck and need guidance to move forward. Eventually, with enough practice, you'll be able to coach yourself for many challenging moments because every coaching session builds your internal resource to be able to overcome challenges or get unstuck. It's my deepest wish that this tool will support you and give you the strength to create the life that you wish to lead, even with the ups and downs of life.